And welcome to TIA's NFV deployment series. Today we have Seamus McGillicuddy. He's Senior Analyst of Network Management at Enterprise Management Associates. He's here to talk about the impact of NFV, not only on telcos and service providers, but also on enterprise environments. And Seamus, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. Of course, NFV is all about deploying network functionality, routing, firewalling, load balancing, WAN optimization, and so on and so on. But in a virtualized environment, such as maybe virtual machines or Linux containers, does that apply to enterprise environments as well regarding network functions virtualization?
Yeah, it definitely applies to enterprise environments. EMA surveyed 150 enterprises who were early adopters of software-defined networking earlier this year, and almost all of them were doing some form of NFV as well.
Now, of course, also in a typical enterprise data center, there's a number of firewalling and load balancing devices. What's the difference between having a physical appliance with fixed performance and now offering solutions in a virtualized format?
Well, it depends on a lot of factors. The vendor you choose and the hardware you use and the architecture of your implementation. We've seen a lot of effort going into optimizing x86 server architectures for networking uses, for networking workloads. If you look at Intel's data plane development kit, for instance, which is a library of data plane APIs that can optimize servers for packet processing, that can get you a lot of high performance out of an x86 architecture for a firewall, a load balancer, and virtual network function vendors or hardware appliance vendors who are migrating their technology to software that can run as an NFV platform are doing a lot to maximize the performance of servers. So, and on the other hand, performance isn't necessarily a top requirement for NFV in the enterprise in many use cases, because a physical firewall or load balancer appliance, for instance, is usually sitting in front of a rack of servers or a pod of servers, serving multiple applications and services at once, or securing multiple applications and services at once, and is essentially a bottleneck that has to be high performing. But when you use NFV, you're often distributing those virtual network functions, placing them on every host as a VM on every host. They're less of a bottleneck, and they're usually only serving a handful of VMs in a data center. In that environment, one appliance might be replaced by dozens of virtual network functions in an enterprise NFV environment that are running on an equal number of hosts. And so it's not an apples to apples comparison between a physical appliance and an NFV service.
Now, you talked about some of the sort of the highlighted challenges for NFV and enterprise environments, but are there some other aspects of NFV that are also challenges to the enterprise?
Well, our research shows there are two top challenges with NFV for enterprises. First is the virtual network function availability and performance. This is an issue where you have the performance and availability of an infrastructure element that has been abstracted, so that there's a physical server host that has its own set of metrics that have to be monitored, and then there's the virtual network function itself, which has its own set of metrics that have to be monitored and managed. And while some enterprises will struggle with the availability and performance of the physical box underneath the virtual network function, the bigger issue appears to be the performance of that virtual network function. A problem here is that most network availability and performance management platforms and tools are hardware-centric architectures. They are designed to manage the performance of a network of vertically integrated hardware appliances, and virtual elements are more abstract, and they don't have the same kind of visibility into them. We've seen a lot of network management vendors trying to adapt their tools and products to be able to understand the virtual layer of an NFV and architecture. The other big challenge we see is service or cloud orchestration. This is an issue where their OpenStack implementations or their service orchestration platforms may not have adequate integration into into NFV implementation, service chaining, instantiation, and this is an evolving area for the enterprise that might need a lot of help.
Well, Seamus, it was good to have you. Over the last couple of years, a lot of sort of a hubbub, if you will, about NFV with telcos and service providers, but only the last year or so have you been talking about its impact on enterprise. So we appreciate you talking to us, and we'd love to talk to you again sometime soon. Thanks.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
Yeah, I also want to point out that in the enterprise, network functions virtualization isn't just about the data center. It's also about the wide area network and specifically remote sites. I mean, in the data center, there's a lot of focus on rapid deployment of services and the distribution of services to eliminate bottlenecks and the ability to deploy distributed firewalls and save money and speed up things that way. But we also see a lot of interest, and we're going to be doing some research this year into this, where enterprises are deploying NFV in remote sites where they're deploying firewalls and routers and WAN optimization as virtual network functions in a branch office. In fact, when we asked enterprise adopters of NFV what their main targets were for NFV in terms of what virtual network functions they were virtualizing, the top two were firewalls and intrusion detection, which has applicability everywhere, data center or remote site. But number three was WAN optimization controllers, and that signifies that there's a lot of interest in doing NFV in a remote site. It simplifies the physical hardware footprint in remote sites and makes the challenge of IT support of remote sites much simpler, I think.
Well, like I said, we'd love to circle back with you on that topic and talk once again. So thanks for your time, Seamus.
You're welcome.
And to our audience, thanks again for watching. You can visit tinow.org for more coverage. So long.